I stared at the dim kitchen light and whispered, "My name is Amelia Hart, and I guess this is the life I settled for." My own voice sounded strange to me, like it came from someone far away. "Ethan, are you eating at home tonight?" I asked, even though I already knew the answer. He didn't look up from his phone. "Busy," he said. "Right," I muttered. I waited a few seconds. "Do you want me to leave a plate for you?" No. That was it. That was always it. I sat across from him, watching the way his eyes never drifted in my direction. I tried again. "Did something happen at work?" Silence. "You could at least tell me if—" "Amelia, please." He sighed, annoyed. "Not now. Not now. Not tonight. Not ever." I nodded even though he wasn't looking. I folded my hands in my lap so he wouldn't see them shake. "I made your favorite soup." I tried again, softer this time. "You haven't eaten properly in days." I said I'm not hungry. I swallowed the words rising in my throat. "Okay." We sat in the same room but felt like different worlds. The clock ticked louder than both of us. I cleared my throat. "We used to talk, remember?" He stood up. "I'm heading out." "At this hour?" "Work." But I knew it wasn't work. I always knew. I whispered, "Will you come home tonight?" He didn't answer. The door clicked shut. It always clicked shut. I sat at the table and stared at the empty chair across from me. Why do I keep trying? I asked the quiet room. I imagined him answering, imagined him meeting my eyes, imagined him saying my name gently the way he did years ago. But all I had now was silence. When he returned hours later, I heard his footsteps but stayed still on the couch. "Ethan?" I called. He didn't respond. "I waited," I said. "Nothing. I just wanted to know if you're okay." Still nothing. He walked past me like I wasn't even there. I followed him to the hallway. "Do you hate me?" He paused only to say, "I'm tired." "Tired of me?" I asked. He didn't react. "Tired of this marriage?" Silence again. He entered the bedroom and shut the door in my face. I pressed my forehead against the wood. What did I do wrong? I whispered. He didn't open the door. He never did. I went back to the living room and sat in the dark. My hands were cold, my chest heavy. Why am I begging for crumbs? I asked myself. Why am I begging at all? For years, I kept trying. I tried talking, cooking, smiling, reaching for his hand. Anything that could remind him I existed. But every question I asked fell into the same empty space between us. Tonight, something inside me cracked. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the way he walked past me without a single glance. I wrapped my arms around myself, trying to feel something, anything that reminded me I was still alive. The quiet pressed in on me, heavy and endless, swallowing every hope I carried. Maybe I stopped existing in his world long ago. I whispered that I stepped into Ethan's study with a small sigh, telling myself I was only cleaning, not searching for anything. "Just wipe the desk and get out," I whispered. But when I saw his tablet glowing on the table, unlocked, something in me froze. I reached for it slowly. He probably left it open by mistake, I told myself, but my fingers trembled as I tapped the screen. A message popped up. "Vanessa Brooks, I miss you. When will I see you again?" My breath caught. What? I opened the chat thread even though my heart begged me not to. "Vanessa, you were so quiet last night. Did your wife say something?" "Ethan, she never says anything." My hands shook so hard I almost dropped the tablet. "Never says anything?" I whispered. "I talk to you every day." The door behind me opened. Ethan stepped inside. "What are you doing?" I turned the screen toward him. "What is this?" He glanced at it without emotion. "Give it back." "Ethan, she says she misses you." "It's none of your business." Those words hit harder than any truth on the screen. "None of my, Ethan, you're my husband." He took the tablet from my hands. "Stop going through my things." "I wasn't, your tablet was open." "You always make excuses." "Excuses?" My voice cracked. "You've been lying to me for years." "I don't have time for this," he said, brushing past me. I followed him into the hallway. "How long has it been going on?" "Just tell me the truth." He grabbed his coat. "I'm heading out." "To her?" I whispered. He didn't answer. "So you are?" I said. Ethan, please, look at me. He didn't. He only adjusted his collar and opened the door. You're really walking out to meet her after this conversation? There is no conversation, he replied. I stared at him, at the man who once promised me the world. Do I matter to you at all? Silence. His silence said everything. I read the messages, I whispered. I saw the way you talk to her. I saw how you talk about me. He shrugged. It's better if you stop overthinking. Overthinking? My voice rose. I'm watching my marriage die in front of me. He stepped outside. I'll be late. The door shut. I stood there, gripping the edge of the wall to keep myself steady. My chest felt tight, like something inside me had cracked wide open. So this is the truth, I whispered to the empty hallway. This is what I've been living with. I walked back into the study and sat on the floor. The quiet felt heavy enough to crush me. All this time, I thought I was failing him, but maybe I was only fading away. A shadow. A ghost. A placeholder. My voice came out small. Why wasn't I enough? No answer came. Only the echo of the door he walked out of, and the message that finally showed me what I meant to him. Nothing. I stayed there, hugging my knees, trying to stop my mind from replaying every cold moment he gave me. I thought love meant patience, I whispered. But maybe I was just waiting for someone who never planned to turn around. The room felt colder than ever, and so did I. I sat on the cold living room floor, pulling my knees to my chest. My breaths came out uneven, like my body was trying to hold itself together. How did I become this version of me? I whispered into the empty room. When did I lose myself? My phone buzzed beside me. I didn't want to answer, but the trembling sound I made earlier must have carried through the line. Amelia. Lily's voice rushed out the moment I picked up. What happened? You sound like you're dying. I'm fine, I said, wiping my face even though she couldn't see me. You don't sound fine. Talk to me. I found messages, I whispered. Between Ethan and someone named Vanessa. There was a sharp inhale on her end. Oh my God, what did he say? He said it's none of my business. What? She snapped. You're his wife. I know. No, apparently he doesn't know, she said. Amelia, how long has he been treating you like this? I looked at the empty hallway. Years. And you stayed. I hoped he'd change. He won't, Lily said. He doesn't even see you. Those words hit deeper than she knew. I think I stopped seeing myself too, I admitted. Leave him, she whispered. Please. I'm begging you. You can't keep living like this. I'm scared, Lily. Of what? Being alone. Yes, I said. But I'm more scared of staying. She softened. Then say it out loud. Say you're done. I don't know if I can. You can, she insisted. Say it. Right now. Silence filled the room as I stared at my reflection in the dark window. My eyes looked empty, tired, older than I remembered. Amelia, Lily said gently, you're breaking. He doesn't care that you're breaking. A small, painful truth slipped from my lips. He never cared. That's why you have to care for yourself, she said. It's your turn now. I pressed my hand against my chest. My heart felt bruised. I wasted so much love on him. You didn't waste it, she said. You just gave it to the wrong person. A tear slid down my cheek, but this one felt different, lighter, cleaner. Lily. Yeah. I don't want to cry for him anymore. Then don't. I inhaled shakily. I won't cry for him again. That's it, she whispered. Say the other part. I closed my eyes. The room felt painfully quiet, but not as suffocating as before. I won't live unseen, I said. Not anymore. She exhaled with relief. That's my girl. I let the words settle inside me, heavy, honest, freeing. Thank you, I whispered. I'm here for you, always. And Amelia. Yeah. Tonight is the first night you chose yourself. When the call ended, I stayed on the floor, staring at the wall where Ethan's shadow used to fall when he walked past me. But tonight there was no shadow. Only me. And for the first time in years, I whispered something I actually believed. I will not live unseen. When I walked into the office after days of feeling numb, the bright lights felt almost too sharp. I kept my head down, hoping no one would notice my swollen eyes, but of course someone did. Amelia. Daniel's voice came from behind me. Hey, are you okay? I forced a small breath. Yeah, I'm fine. You don't look fine. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Did something happen? I shook my head. Just a rough week. A rough week or a rough person? He asked gently. His words hit deeper than he realized. Why would you say that? Because your eyes look like you cried for someone, not something. I blinked, stunned by how easily he read me. You shouldn't say things like that. I'm sorry, he said quickly. I didn't mean to cross a line. I worry. About me? I asked quietly. Yes, he said, without hesitation. About you. I looked away, feeling my chest twist. You don't have to. I know I don't have to, he said. But I do. His honesty felt like warm air in a room I'd been freezing in. Daniel, I really don't want to talk about it. Okay, he said softly. But if you ever do, I'll listen. No pressure. Just, don't carry everything alone. I let out a shaky breath. I've been carrying things alone for so long I don't know how to put them down. Then let someone help you, he said. Even if it's just for a minute. His kindness caught me off guard. Why are you being so nice? He gave a small smile. Because you deserve someone who talks to you like you matter. The words hit me hard. I swallowed. Thank you. Anytime, he said. Really? Later, while we worked on reports, he glanced over again. Did you eat this morning? No. He slid half his sandwich toward me. Take it. Daniel. I'm not letting you starve yourself on top of everything else. I stared at the sandwich, then at him. You don't even know what's happening. He shrugged. I don't need the details to care. The simple sincerity in his voice almost made my throat close. You shouldn't care, I whispered. Why not? Because I don't know what I am right now. He held my gaze. Then let me know you as you are, not as who you think you have to be. I exhaled shakily, pushing the sandwich back toward him. You're kind, Daniel. Too kind. Kindness isn't a crime, he said softly. But it felt like one, because part of me liked it. And that made me feel guilty in a way I couldn't explain. When work ended and I stepped outside, I checked my phone. No missed calls. No messages. Ethan hadn't come home in 2 days. I didn't call him. I didn't text him. The silence between us had stretched into something sharp, like a wire pulled too tight, ready to snap at the slightest touch. On the walk home, Daniel's words echoed in my mind. Someone who talks to you like you matter. I hadn't felt that in years. And even though guilt nipped at the edge of my heart, the truth was louder. For the first time, someone actually saw me. I hear the front door creak open just as I'm slipping my shoes on. My heart doesn't race this time. It barely moves. Ethan steps inside, dropping his keys on the table. You leaving? He asks, voice low, like he isn't sure he's allowed to speak to me. I'm going to work, I answer flatly without looking at him. That's it? No, where were you? No, are you okay? I tighten my grip on my bag. You didn't answer those questions when they mattered. I'm returning the favor. He shifts, like the silence stings. We need to talk. I don't, I say, stepping past him. I feel his eyes on me, confused and offended, but I keep walking. For the first time, I don't pause, don't turn, don't shrink. I leave him standing there in the doorway, staring at my back as I go. At the office, the brightness of the lobby lights makes me squint. My steps echo faintly, grounding me. Margaret Hale is waiting near my desk, arms folded and expression sharp, the way she always is when she's about to test someone. There you are, she says. You've missed 2 meetings, and yet I still decided to keep you on the new project. Don't make me regret it. I swallow. I won't. I promise. Good. She eyes my face for a long second. You look tired. I'll manage. Make sure you do, she replies before walking off. Her words sound harsh, but there's warmth buried somewhere under them. I cling to that warmth more than I want to admit. As I sit down, Daniel appears beside my chair, holding 2 coffees. I wasn't sure if you'd be in today, he says softly.
So, I brought an extra one. Just in case.
My chest tightens. You didn't have to. You looked like you needed it yesterday.
He gently nudges a cup toward me.
You okay? No, I whisper. But I'm here. That counts, he murmurs. I take a sip, letting the warmth spread through my hands. Daniel smiles a little, like he's relieved I accepted it. If you want to talk, or not talk, or just sit and pretend everything's normal, I'm around. His kindness feels like sunlight on skin I forgot could feel.
Thank you, Daniel. He nods. Anytime.
We share a small laugh when he tries to open a file and it freezes instantly. I swear this computer hates me, he groans. Maybe it's protesting the workload, I tease. Oh, so you're on its side now, he fires back, grinning.
The sound of my own laughter surprises me.
It feels unfamiliar, but good, like breathing clean air. Then, suddenly, the air shifts.
I sense someone at the doorway before I turn. Ethan.
His eyes are locked on me, on Daniel, on the coffee in my hand, on the smile he hasn't seen in months. His jaw tightens, confusion turning into something darker.
Something sharp.
Daniel follows my gaze. Is everything okay?
I don't answer.
My pulse thuds, not from fear, but from the realization that Ethan is watching me like he's seeing me for the first time. And I wonder, is this what it takes for him to notice I exist?
I straighten my shoulders. Let him look. I'm finally walking away. Did I hear Ethan's voice before I see him?
Amelia, where are you going?
I glance up from my coat. Work.
You'll be late.
His tone is sharper than usual, but not angry.
Something else lingers in it. Worry?
Panic?
I'll manage, I say, keeping my voice neutral. Who are you talking to? He asks, following me toward the door.
Colleagues. Short. Flat. Emotionless. He frowns. And what about lunch? Are you coming back?
Yes, I say, no inflection. I can feel his gaze drilling into me, testing me, trying to pull a reaction.
I give him none.
You're different, he mutters.
I shrug and walk out.
The drive to the company feels strange, like I'm stepping into a world that has been waiting for me to exist. At the lobby, Margaret greets me briefly.
Good morning, Amelia.
Don't keep Adrian waiting.
I nod.
Adrian Knight, the CEO of the parent company, is already waiting with a crisp suit and a professional smile.
He shakes my hand firmly.
Your work on the presentation was impressive. The board noticed. Thank you, I say, keeping my tone calm. His acknowledgment feels good. Real.
Solid.
Ethan appears in my peripheral vision as I speak.
His jaw tightens. I catch the subtle clench of his fists.
The way Adrian talks to me, respectful, admiring, and unafraid, seems to sting him. You've done a fantastic job leading the project, Amelia, Adrian continues, shaking my hand again. Your ideas were spot on. Thank you, sir, I say. Inside, I feel a swirl of fear, pride, and confusion. Fear, because Ethan's attention now has an edge I haven't seen before.
Pride, because my efforts are finally recognized.
Confusion, because I'm not sure how to navigate the mix of emotions. Ethan says nothing, but his silence is heavy. I notice him shift on his feet, restless, uneasy. The evening ends. At home, the door clicks behind me. Ethan's voice is low, almost restrained. Amelia, can we talk? I'm tired, I answer simply. You're not telling me who you were with. I told you, colleagues.
He sighs.
You're hiding something. I'm not hiding anything.
His hand grabs my wrist suddenly. Not lightly, but tight, almost painful. You're different tonight. Tell me why.
The pressure surprises me.
I flinch but don't pull away. I'm just me, I whisper.
He releases me quickly, breathing heavier than usual.
Panic flashes in his eyes. He's never looked like this around me, so unsettled, unbalanced. I step back.
You don't get to control me. I don't know what's happening, he admits, voice raw. I watch him for a long second, chest tightening, mind racing. For the first time, I feel a shift, he's the one losing control. And though it scares me, it also gives me a quiet sense of power.
I take a deep breath.
Then maybe you should figure it out without me. The tension lingers, Thick, electric, and I finally understand. I've changed, and so has the dynamic between us.
For the first time in years, he's the one feeling the crack.
I looked in the mirror and hardly recognized myself. The woman staring back was quiet, composed, confident in ways I hadn't allowed before. "Who are you?" I whispered, touching my own reflection. "You're still me," I told myself, "just someone he never bothered to see."
At breakfast, Ethan hovered near the table.
"Amelia, sit. Eat with me," he said. His voice carried a kind of urgency I hadn't heard in years.
I shook my head.
"I'm not hungry."
He frowned. "Not hungry?"
"You're always hungry." I said no. I replied, calm, clipped. No hesitation.
No begging. Just flat truth.
He hesitated, then muttered, "You're acting strange." "Maybe I'm finally allowed to," I said, taking my coffee and walking away from him. He opened his mouth, then shut it again. I caught a flash of disbelief, frustration, even fear in his eyes. I left for work, feeling lighter than I had in years. Daniel noticed immediately. "Amelia, you look different today," he said. "I feel different," I admitted.
"It's nothing against you, Daniel.
Just myself." "You're smiling," he said softly. "Really smiling." I let a small laugh escape. I almost forgot I could. At the office, Margaret Hale approached.
"You're on top of your reports. That new project is yours to lead.
Make it count." "I will," I said firmly, my posture straight, my voice confident. I realized the thrill of being seen, not by Ethan, but by someone who recognized my work. Ethan's sudden arrival at my office threw the day into sharp relief. He stopped at the doorway, jaw tight, eyes locked on me. I was talking with Daniel, laughing at a small joke.
My voice felt lighter than it had in years. He looked stunned. Not angry, not cold.
Stunned. I wondered if he'd ever seen me like this, truly noticed me before. "Amelia, can I?" His voice faltered. I didn't answer. I kept laughing, kept moving with ease, keeping Daniel included. The air between us was strange, tight, charged. I could feel him trying to reach me, trying to recall the wife who had once waited silently for him, and failing. "Are you going to introduce me?" Daniel asked softly, noticing Ethan's presence.
I shook my head, smiling faintly.
"Not today."
Ethan's expression darkened.
Confusion.
Hurt.
Frustration. I let him stew. Let him feel what I had felt for years. Invisible. Unseen. Unheard. When the meeting ended, I gathered my things.
"See you tomorrow," I said lightly to Daniel.
"See you," he replied, glancing at Ethan with a knowing look.
Ethan didn't speak.
He followed me to the elevator, silent, hands in pockets. I noticed every small movement, every twitch, every bite of tension. "You're not the same," he finally said, voice low. I smiled faintly.
"I'm exactly who I was.
You just never bothered to look." The elevator dinged, doors closing between us. I felt a surge of satisfaction, but not triumph. Just peace. I had taken my first real step toward myself, and Ethan could watch, helpless, as I became a stranger he didn't know. I whispered under my breath, "This is me. This is who I was meant to be." Ethan showed up at my office that afternoon. I was sitting with Daniel, reviewing reports, when I heard the quiet tap of his shoes on the floor. "Amelia," he said, voice low, almost pleading. I didn't look up. "Yes. Can we talk?" His eyes flicked between me and Daniel. I let a small pause stretch uncomfortably. "I don't think there's anything to say," I replied softly. He swallowed, jaw tight. "You can't just ignore me." "I've been ignored for years. Now it's your turn," I said, keeping my voice calm, flat, unyielding. Ethan's brow furrowed. "This isn't fair." I smiled faintly. "Life isn't fair, Ethan. I've learned that the hard way." He leaned against my desk, like proximity might change something. "Who's he?" His gaze softened slightly toward Daniel. "Daniel," I repeated, letting the name hang. "He's a coworker. That's all." "You're smiling at him, laughing with him. Don't you care about me at all?" "I care about myself," I said quietly, meeting his eyes for the first time in months. "And I've been doing it for far too long alone." Ethan's hand twitched, like he wanted to grab my arm but feared the consequence.
I didn't realize. You didn't see, I whispered.
Not once. Not ever. He rubbed his forehead, frustrated.
I
want to fix it. Too late for fixing, Ethan, I said. This is what happens when you ignore someone for years. You miss the chance. He pressed his lips together, then asked softly, Do you hate me?
I'm not sure anymore, I admitted. I don't recognize the person I loved.
And maybe that's my fault.
Ethan's eyes glistened.
Amelia, I'm done listening to excuses. I cut him off. I'm done hoping for change that will never come. I'm choosing me. The next morning, I went to a team dinner with Daniel. Ethan showed up unexpectedly, standing near the door, arms crossed. He watched us laugh, leaning slightly to catch every word I said. I didn't approach him. I didn't acknowledge him. Amelia, please, he said softly when our eyes met for a brief second. I shook my head, sipping my drink. Not today, I whispered under my breath. He stepped back, jaw tightening. I could see the conflict on his face, jealousy, confusion, and for the first time, regret.
Daniel glanced at me.
Are you okay? I've never been better, I said, letting a small, genuine smile slip. Ethan's hand trembled slightly when he reached for his phone. He hadn't moved closer, he hadn't shouted, hadn't demanded. He simply watched, powerless, as I existed for someone else's eyes and laughter, someone who valued me. At home, he grabbed my wrist suddenly, too tight, panic in his eyes. I can't lose you, Amelia. Not like this.
I gently removed my hand.
You already did, Ethan, I said softly. You just didn't notice until now.
The tension hung thick in the air.
He stared at me, helpless, realizing for the first time that I wasn't waiting anymore.
And I knew, this was the moment he started to break.
I was pouring coffee when my phone buzzed. A text from Lucas Reed, one of Ethan's so-called friends.
He's losing it. Vanessa showed up at his office.
Thought you should know. I stared at the screen, heart skipping. Lucas, thanks.
I whispered. A knock at the door startled me.
Amelia, can we talk?
Ethan's voice came from the hallway. I didn't answer.
I kept stirring my coffee, pretending not to hear.
He stepped in anyway.
Why are you ignoring me? I'm not ignoring you, I said, voice flat. I'm busy. You're always busy with someone else, he accused, voice tight. Daniel, is that who you're with now?
Daniel is my coworker, I replied calmly. He treats me like a person.
Something you forgot how to do.
His jaw clenched.
I don't know what to do with this.
That's the point, I said softly. You didn't notice me before. You missed every chance.
Now you see, but it's too late.
He ran a hand over his face. I thought I could fix things.
You could have, I said, if you hadn't spent years walking away. He stayed silent, the weight of those words sinking in.
I let him feel it.
Later that day, Lucas stopped by the office, leaning against the doorframe.
He's obsessed, Lucas said quietly.
Watching, calling, trying to figure out what's happening. He's losing control.
I nodded. Good.
Let him see what it's like. You're sure?
Lucas asked. You don't want to?
I don't know, talk to him.
I shook my head. I've talked for years.
He didn't listen.
Lucas smiled faintly.
Then let karma do its work. The next morning, Vanessa appeared at Ethan's office. I wasn't there, but Lucas called me later.
Ethan's furious, he said. He doesn't know how to handle her. He's panicking, Amelia.
He's losing it.
I chuckled quietly.
He's feeling what I felt. Exactly, Lucas said, a little awed. He finally understands the consequences. Later, I met Daniel for coffee. He noticed I was smiling faintly, lighter somehow.
You okay? He asked.
I've never been more alive, I admitted. It's strange, but I feel free.
Daniel nodded. Good. You deserve that.
Thanks, I said. For everything. For noticing me when he wouldn't.
He shrugged. I just saw someone who mattered. That's all. That evening, Ethan called.
Amelia, please, I need to explain.
I didn't answer. I didn't even look at the phone.
I thought about all those years of waiting, of hoping, of being invisible.
Finally, I whispered to myself, this is justice. Not revenge.
Just balance. The silence that followed was heavier than any apology he could offer. And for the first time in years, I felt the sharp relief of being seen by someone who truly mattered, while the person who ignored me finally realized the weight of his mistakes. Ethan was unraveling, piece by piece.
And I?
I was standing, untouched, whole, and finally free.
Ethan appeared at my doorstep that night.
I wasn't surprised. He'd been following every step I took for days. "Amelia, we need to talk," he said, voice tight, almost desperate. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed.
"We don't."
"Not really." "Yes, we do," he said. "I've made mistakes, big ones."
"I know that.
"But I can fix this."
"You've had years to fix it, Ethan."
"Years," I said, keeping my voice calm.
"And you didn't."
He ran a hand over his face, frustration clear.
"I was blind. I didn't see you.
I didn't realize." "You didn't care," I interrupted. "That's the truth.
You ignored me."
"I was there, and you never looked." Ethan stepped closer, lowering his voice.
"I see you now.
I can't lose you." "You already lost me," I said softly.
"I've been finding myself while you were too busy with someone else."
"You think you can just step in now?" Amelia, please," he said, desperation creeping in. "Let me explain."
"Explain what?"
I asked. "Your lies? Your betrayal? Or the years you spent making me invisible?"
His shoulders slumped.
"All of it."
"Stop," I said sharply. "I'm done listening to excuses.
I'm done waiting for you to notice me."
Ethan's hands shook slightly.
"You can't just walk away."
"I already did," I whispered.
"Years ago, in your eyes. Now I'm just living in my own." He closed his eyes, running a hand through his hair again.
"I never wanted it to come to this. I
love you."
I studied him for a long moment.
The man who claimed to love me had hurt me more than anyone else ever could. Love isn't words anymore, Ethan. It's actions. And your actions didn't exist.
He swallowed hard.
"I'm begging, Amelia.
Just one chance."
I shook my head slowly.
"No. One chance is over."
I've learned what it feels like to be truly seen, to be respected. And I'm not giving that up again for someone who couldn't see me when it mattered.
Ethan's jaw tightened.
He looked at me like he wanted to argue, to yell, to cry, but he didn't. For the first time, he was silent, stripped of pride, exposed in the way only truth can make someone feel.
I took a step back. "I'm done."
"I'm walking forward, with or without you." He opened his mouth, then closed it again. I didn't wait for an answer. I turned and walked down the street, breathing in the night air, every step lighter than the one before. I felt the power of choice in my hands, the freedom I'd been craving for years. Behind me, I could hear the faint click of the door he had entered through.
I didn't look back.
Not once. Because I was finally moving toward myself. I stood in the conference room, sunlight spilling across my desk, feeling something I hadn't felt in years: peace. "Amelia, your presentation is ready," Daniel said softly, sliding a folder across the table. "Thanks," I replied, taking it. The way he looked at me, genuine care in his eyes, made me realize how much I had craved to be seen. And now, I was. Margaret Hale approached, arms crossed but a small smile tugging at her lips.
"This project will define your career, Amelia.
Don't let anything, or anyone, distract you."
"I won't," I said firmly.
The door opened behind me, and I felt a familiar presence.
"Ethan."
"Amelia," his voice was low, hesitant.
I didn't turn. I continued reviewing my notes. He stepped closer. I came to apologize.
"Ethan," I said, voice calm, measured, "we've had our chance for words. That time is over." He looked stunned, like I'd become a stranger overnight. "You can't just." "I can," I interrupted.
"I have. I already did, years ago. You just didn't see it."
Daniel cleared his throat lightly behind me. "Amelia, everything's ready if you want to start." I nodded, letting my eyes meet Daniel's for a brief second. Support, kindness, encouragement.
All things Ethan never offered.
"I'll see you later,
I said to Ethan, without turning. He swallowed, his jaw tight. You're not the same, he muttered. Exactly, I said softly. I'm exactly who I was meant to be. Not the ghost you ignored, not the shadow you abandoned. This is me. He opened his mouth, but no words came. For the first time, he had nothing to say. The meeting began, and I stepped to the front of the room, heart steady, voice clear. I spoke with authority, passion, confidence. I was heard. I was seen. I wasn't invisible. Afterward, as colleagues congratulated me, Ethan lingered near the doorway, watching. I felt no need to turn, no need to explain. His silence was the final acknowledgment of what I had become. Later, as I left the office, Daniel walked beside me. You're amazing, Amelia, he said, smiling. I laughed softly. I finally believe it myself. Good, he said. You deserve every bit of it. I inhaled deeply, the evening air fresh and clean. I thought of the years I had spent hoping for recognition, love, attention that never came. And now? I had it. From myself, from people who mattered, from life itself. At home, the apartment was quiet. Ethan wasn't there. I didn't care. I poured a glass of wine, sat on the couch, and let the silence embrace me. Not oppressive this time, but comforting. I see you, I whispered to myself, smiling. I see me. The days of walking behind someone else, of fading into the background, were over. I had stopped being invisible. I had finally found myself. And that was more than enough. The apartment was quiet for the first time in years, not the kind of silence that pressed on my chest, but a calm, steady quiet. I was sitting by the window, journal in hand, when the door clicked. Ethan appeared again, hesitant, hands in pockets. Amelia, please, he started. I didn't move. You don't get to speak first anymore. He swallowed, eyes flicking around the apartment like it belonged to him, but it didn't. I just need to know, are we? Are we what? I asked softly, without looking at him. Are we still together? I finally looked at him. He looked smaller somehow, like the years he ignored me had shrunk him. We are not, Ethan. Not now. And not ever, if you can't see me for who I am. He flinched, like my words were physical blows. You don't get to interrupt anymore, I said. My voice was firm, steady. I've spent years invisible. I won't do it again. I see you now, he whispered. I nodded. Yes. You see me now. And it's too late to fix what you broke. He exhaled sharply, shoulders slumping. Amelia. I'm sorry. I smiled faintly, almost sadly. Apologies don't bring back years of being unseen. Actions do. And your actions are gone. He closed his eyes, jaw tight. I wish I had done better. You had the chance, I said softly. You chose not to. That choice is yours to live with. He didn't speak after that. He just stood there, silent, watching me as if seeing me for the first time, and finally understanding all the years he had wasted. I returned to my journal, pen scratching across the page. The silence between us spoke more than words ever could. He had finally understood the consequences of his neglect, and I had finally found the space to breathe, to think, to exist for myself. And that silence, that quiet understanding, felt like freedom. The morning light spilled across my bedroom, soft and warm, as if the world itself wanted to start fresh. I stretched, feeling the freedom in my own body. No tension, no waiting for someone to notice me. Just me. Daniel called. Good morning, Amelia.
Ready for today? I am, I said, smiling genuinely. Thank you for always noticing me.
You don't need thanks.
You deserve to be seen, he replied, voice soft but confident. I got ready, pulling on a crisp blazer, feeling the weight of independence settle comfortably on my shoulders. The mirror reflected a woman I barely recognized, strong, composed, alive.
I thought of Ethan.
Somewhere in the city, he was learning, feeling, finally understanding the cost of ignoring someone he loved. But that wasn't my burden anymore. That was his. At the office, Margaret Hale greeted me with a nod of approval. This project will shine because of you, Amelia. Remember that. I will, I said firmly. Later, as I walked down the street with Daniel beside me, I felt a lightness I hadn't felt in years. The sun was bright, the air crisp, and every step forward was mine. Where to first? Daniel asked.
Forward, I said with a laugh.
Always forward. We passed by a cafe, laughter spilling from inside. I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the window and smiled. The ghost of who I was, the shadow of Amelia Hart who had lived invisible for so long, was gone. I thought about the future, the choices I could make, the life I could live. And for the first time, it felt limitless. When I reached my apartment that evening, I paused at the doorway, hand on the handle.
I didn't turn back. I didn't even glance at the past.
I whispered to myself, this is my life,
my visibility, my power.
And I stepped inside, into the warmth, into the light, into the dawn of the woman I was always meant to be.
No regrets. No looking back.
Just freedom, and a heart wide open to life. If you want, I can also create AI image prompts for chapters 12 and 13 to complete the visual set for your story.
Do you want me to do that?